What's going on, y'all? Thanks for checking in with Callie. Please like, subscribe if you haven't already. So, the question I have is, a lot of NBA fans, are they turning their back on Kawhi Leonard prematurely? And I ask that question very, very lightly treading water because I understand that, Kawhi hasn't played a lot. I understand that, he hasn't been, available a lot. And I have had my skepticism and all those things over the years too. But at the same time, as a Clippers fan, you got to hope that Kawhi comes back healthy this year and comes back healthy enough to play into the playoffs. You got to hope for that because there is nobody else there, besides him and James Harden as far as like superstar power. Now, Norman Powell plays like a superstar, but he isn't one. And it's the reason why he isn't one, because he's good enough to be a starter, but he's not good enough to be a superstar because it's levels to this. You got to, go through the trenches. You got to really, really be on another level to be a superstar. We all know that. So there's no need to really refute that. There's no need to really even look any differently or otherwise. But my point is, of all points, is I feel like fans, are going to turn their back on Kawhi even more the better the Clippers play without him. And right now, the Clippers are in the 5th seed. And a lot of people might believe they'd be in the 5th seed with Kawhi Leonard there. So, I definitely understand where you're coming from if you think that. The only problem is, no matter what seed you're in, if you get into the playoffs, it's going to be a problem if they don't have Kawhi Leonard. Just like it's been a problem every season that Kawhi Leonard didn't play in the playoffs. Because he's just that good. And he's just that valuable of a player. Now, I understand some people might want him to retire because they're not seeing him play enough. And you're asking yourself, is it really worth it for him to keep playing if he's not going to be available when he's needed, which is the playoffs? I definitely understand that. But as a Clippers fan, you got to be optimistic. You got to be, because there is no Paul George. There is no Russell Westbrook there. It's just James Harden playing with a bunch of role players. And he's making it work so far. He really is. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, you look at some of the losses they had, it shows the reason why. It shows Kawhi Leonard's value even more. They wouldn't have lost to the Celtics by 30-plus points if Kawhi Leonard's there. No way possible. You got Kawhi Leonard on the floor, you may lose by 10, 15, something 10, 12 points, something like that. You're not losing by 30-plus points with Kawhi Leonard on the floor. I don't give a damn who they got on that end. It's just not going to happen. So that's my point. Like, a lot of fans out there, they're going to say what they want. They're going to have their share of discrediting against Kawhi and everything like that. Especially the more the Clippers win, the more they play better. I get all that. But at the same time, you got to understand Kawhi Leonard's value is beyond what the Clippers ever can imagine, because they don't have a player on there that can do what he does. Not one player. And as long as Kawhi is on the roster and puts on a jersey, as long as he's a part of that team, that's the only way that team has a chance to win a championship. Because we all know James Harden is very good, but he is very, 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 very good in the regular season. He's not that good in the postseason, in the playoffs. So even though you may see the Clippers playing well right now, and some of you fans out there might think that they have their chances are better off with James Harden and let Kawhi just retire, then you're sorely mistaken. Because if you ever really want to have an opportunity to win a championship, you better keep Kawhi Leonard on that roster. Because there just could be some miracle to where Kawhi can be healthy in one playoffs all the way through. And this team, the way they're constructed right now, they will be a problem in the playoffs for every team in the West. Every team in the West. Not one, all of them. So, I get it. I definitely understand. I definitely look at it from the standpoint of, I want Kawhi Leonard to play more. I want him to be more available. That's my guy. He's my favorite player in the NBA. He's been my favorite player for years now. Damn near ever since he stepped into the league. So I get your frustration, but at the same time, you got to look at everything in its totality. The Clippers got a trainer on there giving Kawhi Leonard bad advice in regards to his knee, illegal substances, things like that. Look at all the things that the Clippers organization has going on that has been under wraps for a while. And it just backfired because Kawhi Leonard hasn't been healthy due to it. Kawhi played 68 games last season, then his knee swole up, and he couldn't find a way to get it to go back down. Is that his fault? Or is that the team's fault? You know what I mean? Like, you got to look at things like that. Kawhi had knee problems and thigh problems and all that stuff in previous teams. But, I mean, he was able to find ways to play in the playoffs. He was able to find ways to be healthy enough to get those team championships. He was decent enough to get to the finals with those teams, whether he won it or not. So, I mean, sometimes you got to look at the organization and how they run their organization and the people, the staff they have on their organization that can hinder a player from being at their best or hinder a team from getting where they're trying to go. And the Clippers organization, just as an organization, they've been piss poor. They have let go of players over the last several years I thought they should have kept. They have had opportunities to acquire players that I thought they should have acquired. And they completely overlooked it, completely looked past it. So, I mean, sometimes you can look at a player and his injuries. You can go to that route. I definitely respect that. But sometimes you got to look at a situation in its totality. And if they put Kawhi in the right position and not try to allow illegal substances and all these certain type things and all this type stuff to go on in their organization, then it makes a whole lot of difference, possibly. Maybe Kawhi is hurt less. Maybe he's not, but we don't know that. But when you put a player in the best position to succeed, that's when you're giving a player the best chances to be himself and to go out there and help his team be at its best. And some of these things I've heard over the last, especially year or two with the Clippers, I've been concerned. I really have. And I'm pretty sure other people have been concerned if they know some of the things that I know. And I've talked a lot about these things with you guys and things like that, but a lot of this stuff is concerning with this team. There still might be some fans out there that might believe why they let go of Paul George, why they let him walk. Some fans might actually believe that. Now, I believe that's a good move by the Clippers, me personally, but some fans might actually believe that. Some fans might actually believe why let Russell Westbrook go. You know what I mean? Like, why let Reggie Jackson go a couple years ago when Reggie Jackson was like their third leading scorer? Why do this? I mean, it's a lot of questions we can have about the team. I just don't think that bashing Kawhi Leonard is the answer is going to make things better. It's just not. Because even if they still had Paul George, isn't Paul George injured right now with a hyperextended knee? The same injury he had a couple seasons ago with the Clippers? Same thing. Russell Westbrook, we don't even hear about Russell Westbrook anymore. When he was on the Clippers, we did hear about him some, but being in Denver compared to LA, it's no comparison. It's no comparison at all. So, I mean, it's like you could look at things from so many different angles. You can blame Kawhi all you want because Kawhi is the superstar of the team, the guy of the team. So he definitely deserves the brunt of the blame. But at the same time, you definitely got to be optimistic if you're a Clippers fan because he's the only thing you have that is en route to a championship. Because all the players they have on there that's playing hard right now, they're doing well right now, that's very good. But it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to sustain that going into the playoffs. Because when you're in the playoffs, it's a whole different animal. That's the reason why a lot of people glorify Kawhi throughout the years, because how he plays in the playoffs is even different than the way he plays in the regular season. It's like he turns it up a notch, unlike any other player in the NBA, besides maybe a couple. And it's not very many on his level. It really isn't. You could look at Kevin Durant and all those. I've been said for years, Kevin Durant is not on Kawhi Leonard's level. Kevin Durant is a good scorer, but he's not a good scorer and a great defender like Kawhi is, which is the reason why his championships only came with Golden State. He ain't won a damn championship since. And he'd have had big threes. He got a big three right now. He hasn't won a championship since. Kawhi has won championships with all role players and a bunch of old guys on the Spurs. So it lets you know how great of a player he has been. It lets you know what you're getting in a player like him if you can keep him on the floor. And the Clippers got to find a way to keep him on the floor and keep him healthy. They just have to find a way to do it. He has to find a way to do it himself. But at the same time, like I said, you got to be optimistic. That's the only thing you have as a Clippers fan is optimism. That's the only thing you got. You can sit there and talk about all the negative things you want, but you don't have a chance. We don't have a chance. This is not a real process if Kawhi Leonard's not going to be a part of it. There'll just be a good regular season team, and the playoffs come, they'll just flail out in the first round and go home. Because James Harden, you can't count on him in the playoffs. We all know that. He is what he is. He's been what he's been for years. He's not going to get any better, I don't think, with that insurmountably to where a team can win a championship. I don't see that. His game isn't really good enough for that. Kobe Bryant said years ago, the way James Harden plays is good for the regular season. It's not good for winning championships because his usage rate is way too high, and he basically tires himself out during the regular season by what he's doing. And now that he's older, I don't expect that to get any better. So we have to understand, you can bash Kawhi Leonard as a fan if you want to, but you got to understand, he's really the only hope you have en route to a championship. Because honestly, when a lot of teams play the Clippers right now, I'm pretty sure they're playing them with the mindset of, we got this. I'm pretty sure some games, teams might actually be playing down to their competition because they just feel like, okay, James Harden is there. They're pretty good. They're going to give us a good run. But ultimately, we got the superstars. We have a better team because we got better superstars than they do or something like that. You know what I mean? So a lot of teams they're playing just might look at them like, they're a good team, but not a great team. And that's what they are. They're a really good team. But the only way for them to be great is to have a player as great as Kawhi Leonard on the roster, on the floor with them. And I know that's a stretch because Kawhi is not the most healthiest player in the league, but you can say that about other players like Joel Embiid. There's other players in the league that's not healthy like that. But at the same time, as a fan of those teams, you got to hope that they stay healthy. That's all you can do. And that's all the Clippers fans can do. You got to hope that Kawhi gets healthy. Because if you ever really want to see success and win a championship, it's going to take a player like him to help you get there. And I don't want you fans out there who are naysayers, NBA fans out there who are naysayers, I don't want y'all to forget that. It takes a great player to put you in position to get to higher heights. But it also takes a good team, good role players, and all the above. I'm not discrediting any of those players. Never will I ever do that. But what I'm saying is it's the reason why great players are great. It's the reason why the elite is the elite. And as much bashing as Kawhi is taking right now, a lot of you fans might want to rewind, might want to regress. Because you got to look at it. Not only you will be a contender with him, you get more notoriety with him, you get more TV time with him, and it's just so much that comes with a player of his caliber. You got to give him credit. You got to give him some credit for, not only his accomplishments, but you got to give him credit for who he is and what type of environment he brings. And I know he hasn't brought a championship to LA just yet, but I mean, there's still time. And that's all you can hope for, that he finds a way to get healthy enough so the time can suffice for everything that has not happened up to this point. And that's my take.